do you believe in the power of a symbol? I mean, do you believe that there is something, I call it extraterrestrial, that you can prevent or provoke with using a
Yeah,
symbol?
sure, sure. I think it's very true. I think that the more you know about that kind of stuff, the more that you wish to learn about that kind of stuff, the deeper you go.
Mhm.
And then it's really you're setting yourself up for you're setting yourself up for possible possession, possibly, or you're setting yourself up for maybe entry or visitation by maybe something from another dimension, possibly. Now, I think that there's a reason why this kind of stuff is kind of suppressed or underground or concealed
Mhm.
because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I mean, I definitely think that there's spirits. I believe in spirits. I believe in ghosts, and I believe in extraterrestrials. So um, there's no reason for me personally to believe that there are not spirits that you shouldn't encourage. Let's say.
Mhm.
So
Have you ever had the feelings being in touch with that kind of spirits?
it's strange. Not particularly. I've never seen a UFO, although I know people who have. Um, but again, it's not my business to dig too deep. Um, I did come into possession of some pretty interesting books, quite by accident. My mother-in-law had a tenant, and he was a Russian student at NIH, and the entire time he was living with her, she rents her rooms. The entire time he was living with her, he was always ordering books by mail, and he would always be getting these books. And so when he moved out, he had too many books he couldn't take with him, so he left him some behind. And she gave them to me, and they were like reprints of like really really old texts by like Levi and stuff, and and Agrippa,
All right.
yeah, and all these kind of like alchemical and old old books. And so I have them and I own them, but I never sat down to study them
All right.
or to really like sit down, and I don't have any reasons to do that. I mean, it's like uh, I don't want to put a spell on anybody or anything like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You've been through some pretty hard times in the past, and you probably, or if I would have been through these hard times, I would go and think about if I probably was forced to get on the wrong side of things, and then there was a certain force maybe that got me back or something. Or
Right.
have you ever been looking for something that you can blame for how your life went?
The only thing that the only person you can blame for how your life went is yourself. Like I totally am a firm believer in that you definitely create your own reality, and your life is really what you make it yourself. But I'll tell you one thing. One time I OD'd on coke, and okay, I did an OD to the point where I just like passed out and had to be taken to the hospital. I was still walking around and like breathing and stuff like that. But we just like been going way too hard. We were making a lot of money at this job we were doing. We were making a lot of money, and we were really into drugs. And so I had a lot of money and I had a lot of coke, and we did too much, too long drinking and stuff. And I remember that night I went home and I laid down in my bed. And I just wanted to go to sleep, and I could actually feel. I was very conscious of a split to where I could actually feel the forces of death pulling me in. And so within myself, somehow I summoned enough energy, mental energy inside to fight. And it was a strong fight. And but it was weird, even though It was very strange because I think that night I should have died that night. But for some reason, there was some kind of, I didn't really have a feeling of it being like God per se, but I did have a feeling that it was my spirit putting up a pretty good fight.
Yeah, that's pretty much that sums it up. Was what I believe in that kind of stuff. Like I would call myself somebody that believes in something. I just couldn't name what. But the funny thing is, like when you've been telling about this like drug experience, the funny thing is like when you take maybe the right drug, you all of a sudden recognize these forces, right. And you can deal with it. Some people it has been on coke, other people has been on mushrooms or LSD, and this is what it sums it up always when people talking about their drug experience. This is what always comes out as the essence, that they found something that they haven't seen before, and that has been described by others as kind of a driving force.
Right. I mean, I think that's a really accurate way to describe it. I mean, because we know that there's not a God for Islam, there's not a different God for Catholics, there's not a different God for Protestants, different God for Lutherans. Is that true? Is there a different God, but the same God for all of those religions? No. Are those religions man-made? Yes. Mm-hmm. So, denominations is something... denominations is just another control tool, I think, you know? Like, I think that you know, I think David Icke said it right when he said, you know, God is in you, God is in me, God is in your brother, God is in your sister. He never stood up and said, I'm Jesus Christ. But that's what they said, he said. And that's why he's so ostracized. And it's just a really good example. It's a really, really good example of people are so afraid to lose their hold on something. You know, I mean, you know, when the United States made a deal with the extraterrestrials, mm-hmm. and that I can't remember who the president was now, but it was after the Second World War. But whoever the president was, actually, they had a meeting, you know, out at one of the Air Force bases, and you know, the craft actually landing, and they've got videotape of the whole thing, film of the whole thing. But you know, they sort of, the aliens agreed to pass on technology, and the U.S. government agreed to let them conduct their abductions and their you know, experiments, mutilation experiments, as long as they provided the government with a list of the names of the abductees. And but you know, the theory is that they made the same deal with the Russians. It was supposed to be an exclusive, okay? But the bottom line is, you know, the aliens claim that they invented religion. Mm-hmm. Okay, they star-seeded the human population, and they also invented religion by, you know, causing things to happen to make people believe that these, you know, there are these other forces to exist as a control.
We have this European writer, Erich von Däniken, that claims exactly the same thing.
Right.
And, I mean, but do you really believe that?
I don't know if I believe Erich von Däniken's...
I wouldn't, no, in no way. I would never believe what he writes, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting to read, and it gives you at least an opportunity to think about stuff, and whenever you like train your brain to think about this
one
stuff,
thing I can tell you for sure is I've actually seen one of the only remaining Mayan codices. Okay, mm-hmm. I've seen this with my own eyes. They had it at the Philosophical Center in California. Mm-hmm. Basically, a Mayan codice was discovered, and it got into the right hands, and it's being taken care of by, you know, some literary folks and some archaeological people. And the Mayan Codice was written on deer skin,
Mm-hmm.
with vegetable dyes and all the colors and everything like this. And it's I forget how many pages it was. I think it's 13 pages front and back. And the pages were in plastic, sealed in plastic, and you had to call ahead. It was free, but you could call ahead the museum and you could ask them. You could say, "Hey, we want to see the CODIS," and there wasn't very much interest. And so basically, it was like one woman, an older woman, who had possession of the codices, and if you called her and told her, "Hey, we want to see the codex," she would lay it out for you. And so she did, and we got there and laid it out. And, okay, this is an original Mayan book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and on those pictures, I distinctly saw drawings of a ladder coming down from the stars, and craft, and these craft had, seriously, dials, cables, wires. I mean, when you look at that, there's just nothing. Okay, are you telling me that the Mayans, had like Fantastic Four comic books or something?
Yeah, I mean, like,
how could a Mayan know what a dial gauge looks like if he hadn't seen one?
It's just an ornament, probably. I mean, you've seen cables, and it probably wasn't cables.
When
I mean,
you
it's
see
like,
this,
you approach this
I
with
think
your
that
knowledge.
When you see something with your own eyes, I think it really tears away the veil.
I mean, I would call myself one that is also believing in extraterrestrials or aliens.
Bruce has seen
lending.
UFOs. I know a lot of people have seen UFOs.
Bruce has seen a UFO?
Yeah. I know at least 10 people have seen UFOs at different times.
Oh, wow.
And they pretty much describe the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Weird lights that look like airplanes but all of a sudden just take off at right angles.
Mm-hmm.
And airplanes can't do that.
No.
I've never seen one myself, so I'm not, I'd be the first one to say. I've never seen one, so. But I think there's a reason why I haven't seen one. I think they're holding back for the majestic presence.
They probably don't want you a song to write about. This is not the kind of guy that we want to write a song about.
They're not ready. My work is not. They know my work is not done yet, so they don't want the CIA to kill me.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I have a hard time believing it.
Sure, I can understand that. I think that a lot of people have a time believing it. One of the things that, getting to more general, one of the things that I think is the absolute best tool that someone could have is to label something as a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Those two words are really, really the best tool that these perpetrators of crimes have, because they can say, "Oh yeah, Kennedy was shot by someone else besides Oswald. That's just a conspiracy theory. I mean, that guy, they're just into their conspiracy theories." It's like the best two words they could possibly have, and they can fight a war with those two words, and like I've seen the original untouched Zapruder film of the Kennedy assassination.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to some of these like conspiracy sites, you might even be able to see a copy, or you can. What happens is the driver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's driving. Okay, it's an open air limo, and the president and his wife are in the back. Okay, one shot from behind.
Mm-hmm. Kennedy's
head snaps forward. Okay, and in the untouched Zapruder film, you see the driver. He goes like this, and he shoots behind him, and that's when you see Kennedy's head snap back like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the Zapruder film. There's a reason why they took the Zapruder film, and there's also a reason why they hijacked the body and spirited away the body before it could really be examined, because they knew exactly what happened. And the thing about it is, they called it a conspiracy theory, and it's just another nut with another conspiracy theory.